In this video, I will show you how to rewrite a quadratic function in vertex form by completing the square. First of all, vertex form is like this: y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. They call this vertex form because h comma k is the vertex. Okay, the vertex of a parabola, meaning, that's a bad parabola, but the bottom point of a parabola, or the top if it's a downward facing parabola. Anyway, that's more information than we need for this assignment. Okay, so completing the square. The first thing we need to do is move this third number out of the way. So I'm going to suggest temporarily moving it to the left side of the equation. We may move it back later. So I am going to add 4 to both sides just to get this number out of my face. So right now I've got y plus 4 is equal to x squared plus 10x. Okay, now I have space to do my third number. Okay, the phrase you will hear me use over and over again is half the middle squared. Half of the middle, and then you square it. So this is the middle term, 10. Half of 10 is 5. And then 5 squared is 25. So that's why I'm going to add 25 right now. Now before I added 25, I had a valid equation. Now that I've added 25 to the right, it's not equal anymore. This is 25 more. So to balance it out, I need to add 25 to the left side as well. You always have to do something to both sides of the equation. So that means that right now I have y plus 29 is equal to all of this trinomial. Next, you want to factor this trinomial, and this will be easy to factor because it always factors as the same binomial twice. So of course this will be x times x. Looking at the 25, you know that's going to be 5 times 5. Because this is positive, you know this will be positive and positive. Okay, so x plus 5 times x plus 5. Because that is the same thing twice, we can write this as x plus 5 squared. All right, because there's 2 of them. Now finally, we do want to get y by itself again, right? Because in vertex form, it's still y equals. So I will subtract 29 from both sides for my final step. So now I'm going to have y equals x plus 5 squared minus 29. Okay, so this is vertex form for problem number 1. All right, pause the video and try to do problem number 2 by yourself. Okay, I'm going to assume that you did that. So what you should have done was you subtract 3 from both sides to get that number out of the way. Now you have y minus 3 is equal to x squared minus 8x. Now you need to figure out the number that completes the square, the third number. And to get that, you do half the middle squared. Half of negative 8 is negative 4. And then negative 4 squared is positive 16. So that tells you that you need to add 16. This number will always be positive. The most common mistake is to go on with the problem from there. You have to remember, if you add 16 on the right, you immediately must add 16 on the left as well. Okay, so both sides. All right, that makes the left side y plus 13. All right, I'm just combining the like terms there. This side will factor, and it's always going to be the same thing twice, so you know it's going to be x times x. 16, it's got to be 4 times 4 because they got to be the same number. The negative sign here tells you that these will both be negative. So that makes this y plus 13 is equal to x minus 4 squared. Go ahead and subtract 13 from both sides for your final step. So you will have y equals x minus 4 squared minus 13. And this is vertex form for this function. Okay, let's look at number 3. This problem is the same. So again, pause the video right now and try to do this problem by yourself. I'm going to assume that you did that. So I'm going to add 17 to both sides first because I need to clear the way to complete the square. So I'm going to have y plus 17 equals x squared plus 16x. And now I have space. Space to complete the square. The way I choose the final number is I do half the middle squared. Half of 16 is 8. And then 8 squared is 64. So this is the number that completes the square. So I'm going to add 64 to both sides. And you have to do it to both sides. The most common mistake is to add 64 only to the right-hand side. You must add 64 to the left-hand side to keep the equation balanced. So that means I'm going to have y equals, like 81? Well, not y equals 81, but y plus 81 equals. This will always factor as the same thing twice. So clearly x times x, 64, that's 8 times 8. The positive right here tells you that these will be positive. So that leaves me with y plus 81 is equal to x plus 8 squared. Finally, subtract the 81 from both sides. So your final answer is y equals x plus 8 squared minus 81. And this is vertex form. Boom! Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Alright, number 4, still easy. Pause the video and do number 4 by yourself, please. I'm going to assume that you did that. So let's start by subtracting 7 from both sides. So that's going to leave us with y minus 7 is equal to x squared plus 14x. Now we have room to complete the square. We complete the square by doing half the middle squared. So the middle is 14. So you do half of that and you get 7. And then you square that and you get 49. So it's half the middle squared. So that's why I'm going to add 49 to both sides. Make sure you add it to both sides. The most common mistake is to only add on the right-hand side. So this is going to leave me with y plus 42 is equal to. Let's go ahead and factor this down. It will always factor as the same thing twice. So I know I'm going to have x times x. 49, of course, is 7 times 7. The fact that this is positive tells me that these will both be positive. So now I have y plus 42 is equal to x plus 7 squared. Finally, subtract the 42 from both sides, and you're done. So the final answer is y equals x plus 7 squared minus 42. Pause the video and try to do number 5 by yourself. I'm going to assume that you've done that, so let's add 3 to both sides. So then I have y plus 3 is equal to x squared minus 4x. Time to complete the square. You do half the middle squared. So the middle is negative 4. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. negative 2 squared is positive 4. So half the middle squared is positive 4. So I add 4 to both sides. And it does have to be both sides, not just the right side, also the left side. So that's going to give me y plus 7 is equal to. Time to factor this. This will always factor as the same thing twice. So x times x. Looking at the 4, I know this is going to be 2 times 2. Looking at the fact that this is negative tells me that both of these will be negative. So that gives me y plus 7 is equal to x minus 2 squared. Finally, subtract the 7 from both sides and you're done. Y equals x minus 2 squared minus 7. That's your vertex form. Okay, number 6 is on another level. Because the middle term is odd, when we complete the square, we wind up doing half of the middle. But because the middle is a 3, I cannot do half of the middle without creating fractions. So we're going to have fractions, and we just have to deal with that. So the first step is still the same. I'm going to add 5 to both sides to get rid of the third term. So now I have y plus 5 is equal to x squared plus 3x. So now I need to do half the middle squared. So look, the middle is 3. Half of the middle would be 3 over 2. All right, half of the middle squared would be 3 over 2 squared. And that is 9 over 4. So this is half the middle squared. So that's what I have to add to both sides. So I have to add 9 over 4 to the right and the left. Half the middle squared. Okay, so now I need to be able to add these two numbers together. So I need to add 5 plus 9 fourths. Think of this as 5 over 1. We need like denominators. So this will be the same thing as 20 fourths plus 9 fourths. So this is 29 fourths. So I have y plus 29 fourths equals. This will still be easy to factor if you think about it. X squared will factor as x times x. 9 over 4 will factor as 3 over 2 times 3 over 2. It's at half the middle that we did in the first place. Because this is positive, that means both of these will be positive. That means we can write y plus 29 over 4 is equal to x plus 3 over 2 squared. And for the final step, you subtract 29 fourths from both sides. So your final answer is going to be y equals x plus 3 over 2 squared minus 29 over 4. So this is your vertex form. Number 7 is another one just like number 6. So go ahead and pause the video and try to do this one by yourself. I'm going to assume that you did that. So let's go ahead and add 2 to both sides. So that's going to give us y plus 2 is equal to x squared minus 11x. All right, this one's going to be extra tricky. Again, because the middle term is odd, we're going to have fractions. So we need to do half the middle squared. So the middle is 11. Half the middle is 11 over 2. If we square that, then we're going to get 121 over 4. So this is half the middle squared. So that's what I need to add to both sides. Both sides, including the left-hand side. Okay, let's go. So I'm going to have y plus. Now I need to add these two together. I need like denominators. So this is going to be 8 over 4 plus 121 over 4. So that's 129 over 4. Let's go ahead and factor this. So this is going to be x times x. 121 over 4 came from doing 11 over 2 squared. So we'll go back to the 11 over 2. Because the middle term is negative, both of these will be negative. So now I can write this as y plus 129 over 4 is equal to x minus 11 over 2 squared. So the last step is just to subtract the 129 over 4 from both sides. So the final answer is y equals x minus 11 over 2 squared minus 129 over 4. All right, so that's it, vertex form. All right, let's just do one more for this video. All right, you should be able to do this by yourself though. So pause the video and do this problem by yourself. Okay, so let's start by subtracting 20 from both sides. So that's going to give me y minus 20 is equal to x squared plus 13x. Now we will complete the square. Completing the square, we do half the middle squared. So the middle is 13. So half the middle will be 13 over 2. And if I square that, that means 13 over 2 squared. And that is 169 over 4. So that's what I need to add to both sides. Now over here on the left, I need to add negative 20 and positive 169 over 4. So I've got negative 20 plus 169 over 4. I need like denominators. So this is going to be negative 80 over 4 plus 169 over 4. So that's going to be 89 over 4. Okay, so that means over here I have y plus 89 over 4 is equal to, and this can be factored. X squared, of course, will be x times x. 169 over 4, well, we got that by doing 13 over 2 squared. So we'll just go back to 13 over 2 again. Because this is positive in the middle, we know that both of these will be positive. So we could write this as y plus 89 over 4 is equal to x plus 13 over 2 squared. For the final step, we will subtract 89 over 4 from both sides. So the final answer in vertex form will be y equals x plus 13 over 2 squared minus 89 over 4. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.